everyone. Welcome back to our Love All podcast. I'm really excited because we are getting into a fun stage of the tennis season. We're getting to the clay court season, but we're going to talk all things Hardcourts and the Sunshine Double. But Blair, where are you at the moment? I see you're in a hotel room.
I'm in Houston one last week on the road. And also, I love that you say a fun part of the season that we look forward to, because I definitely think that there are some people, I won't name any names, Americans, who maybe aren't so thrilled to go over to the red clay.
I was always very excited at the start of clay court season, but then after a while, when I realized my tennis is not really going where I want it to go, I did get some, a little bit of frustration in there, but definitely always really excited those first few weeks on clay.
Yeah, no, it's actually really fun to be just even the visual of it. Everything looks just so good. Like Zhang Zhizhen is here in Houston for the first time. He was actually the first Chinese player ever to win a match at this tournament yesterday. And he's got this pink kit on with the pink headband on the red clay. Just the visual of it looks so fantastic. But this tournament, I know people think about this week as Charleston week, but we have a men's tournament as well. There's also an event in Morocco on the ATP side as well. But this is an event that Frances Tiafoe, and he's not joking. He calls this, his favorite tournament on the tennis calendar. For a lot of the American guys in particular, this is one of their absolute favorite weeks because the tournament is run so well. They treat the players so well. They treat the employees so well. I look forward to this week every year, and it's sold out every year. I mean, I used to live in Houston. I played college tennis here at Rice University, and it's so hard because people are like, "You're coming into town. Any chance you could get me tickets?" I'm like, "No, there is no chance I can get you tickets because this is sold out within 2 days of the tickets going on sale each year because the club members just buy those tickets up." But they also this year did free qualifying over the weekend. Great. It was packed. I wish every tournament could do, and many do, the free qualifying, but you see people coming in that might not otherwise get a chance to see professional tennis, and there is no bad seat in the house. The stadium here is old school, kind of reminds you of Wrigley Field, but also media day is relaxed because the players are relaxed, Kim, and I don't know if you ever felt that on tour where if you were in an environment where you were more relaxed, you were potentially more willing to get into conversations with the media that you might not otherwise. Was that a thing for you?
Definitely, I do feel like a lot of the very small tournaments that I used to play were I felt like you had a closer connection to the fans because they were sitting closer to the court. But one of my favorites was the one that I always played after the Australian Open was the one in Belgium, and it's not because it was more relaxing, but I was home. I had some of the most amazing experiences on court playing in front of our Madison Square Garden. It's called the Sports Palace in Belgium, and just walking out onto, whatever it was, 20,000, 19,000 people, and just seeing everybody cheer you on. It was pressure, but at the same time, never felt goosebumps walking out on court like I did then. So everybody has their connections, but I haven't seen a draw there, but I assume why it's also one of the favorite for Frances is maybe because you don't get all your typical clay court players from South America and the South Europeans into the schedule. I haven't seen the draw, but before I jump to conclusions,
you're not completely wrong there. There are 4 Argentines though in the draw this year, and one of them last night just absolutely dismantled Colton Smith, an American, Thiago Agustin Tirante, who I had never seen play before. But I said, there are 4 Argentines in the draw here. Has word gotten out that Houston's the place to be? And he did. He said, this is for us, we're in the Americas. We love the conditions here. So there are a few South Americans.
A good stop.
Yes.
A good stop before they head over to Europe, right?
Exactly.
Get a little break, stop on the American soil.
Totally.
But exciting times. And I think we'll talk a little bit more next week about, in next week's episode, about the transition from the hard courts onto the red clay and what the differences are on, green clay, red clay, different surfaces. So excited to talk and to kind of go into dissecting a little bit what that part of the season is like.
Yeah, we're going to go through Henley's headlines and some Kimformation. And I have a rec room for all of you today, Kim. If you do, great. If you don't, that's okay too. We'll let you save up for for the following week.
I have a few saved, so I can
great.
use, I can use a few.
Kim's got a backlog of Kimformation. Though before we get to Henley's headlines, I did want to follow up on one thing that people might have seen in Miami that I was able to ask about in Media Day yesterday with Tommy Paul. He and Artur Fils had one of the matches of the tournament. I guess that was the quarterfinals, I believe. Quarterfinals, fourth round. This is where my tournament amnesia comes into play. But, Fils saved 4 match points, and it was just a heartbreaking end for Tommy Paul at the end of that match. And I'm always fascinated as somebody who, in general, in life is a terrible loser. Like, I don't lose well. I probably do maybe off the tennis court better than I was on the tennis court. But I wanted to know, like, how did you get over that? And he said, well, I didn't sleep at all that night. And then the next day, he said, it was really good that I was surrounded by the people that I like and I love and my friends. And the next day, he went and supported his fiancée, Paige Lorenz, at one of her Dairy Boy pop-ups in South Florida. I was like, that's pretty amazing. He did say there might have been like some alcohol involved the night after the loss. Yes, but he said, I was surrounded by people I love, and they helped me move on, and I just kind of move week to week. How long did you hang on to a loss, like a really tough one?
I would say like the Grand Slam losses early on in my career, like the finals, especially, they stick with you for a few days, even longer, right? Like they're on the back of your head a little bit, the back of your mind a little bit longer. What I always find really hard was like going back, because, back in the day in Belgium, you felt the support, but you didn't have social media like you do back then. It was, the newspapers and the headlines and all that stuff. But what I found the hardest was like going over to my grandparents after like a trip, right? Like my grandpa, who's like, they were like my biggest fans. They were, why'd you lose? Like literally like that.
Gosh.
Like, and like against Justine, like why? Like it's like, I'm like, well, she was good. I didn't play well. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
sheesh, grandma and grandpa.
That's how I would come home. But they were so heartbroken. Like they wanted it so badly for me. And like, and they have no filter. So they would just say like, and then, like those were like the times where I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. Like, but it could make you laugh too after a while, right? But then the good thing is about tennis is that you could still, have the next opportunity literally a few weeks later. And I'll talk about that a little bit further when we start talking about Sabalenka and everything. But, losing the Australian Open final, frustration, and seeing where she's at now is that's basically what tennis is about. You can stay down on yourself and be very disappointed, and but the longer you stay in that kind of negative mindset, it's not going to help you in the next tournament. So to me, tennis, getting back out on the practice court, approaching what was coming up was always kind of my go-to move to try and forget about it as soon as possible.
And I also wanted to shout out the tennis fiancés at the moment. We have a couple in Houston, and Mackie McDonald, his fiancée, Maria Matias, I think is how you say her last name, also a fellow player. I think she's working through some injuries, but she's here serving as like coach, physio, psychologist.
Nice.
I asked Mackie had a good win. He took out the defending champion Jensen Brooksby yesterday, and he said has just his fiance in his box, and he said she's doing all the things, and she's also the best looking coach on tour, which I thought was great.
Does that surprise you? Like, of course not. Like that's
no, women are made to do all the things. We can do it all. Exactly.
I'm sure Brooklyn was Andy's coach, for a while too.
And sports psychologist, yes. And all the things. And Tommy Paul was also funny in press. I was asking him about his wedding planning. I think that's happening this summer. And he said, well, it's on a Tuesday, so you can't come to our wedding without taking time off work. Like you have to prioritize coming to this wedding. And I asked him what he was most likely to participate in terms of the planning. I said, is it the dress code? Is it the decor? Is it the flowers? He's like, oh, definitely the flowers. And I was like, Tommy, what's your favorite flower? And you could sort of see the gears like grinding. So there was this dramatic pause, and he goes, peonies. And I was like, that's fantastic. This man is learning. He knows what a peony is. So it's neat. I think that personal side, obviously we're tennis nerds. We love to sort of break things down, but to see the personal side and to see these guys and learn about their lives off the court, I often find that it's those types of things that really endears fans to a player for life. You can love the way that they hit their forehand, but so often it's that personal side that really makes the connection.
And that will help him to get over the loss against Feast last week.
Right, exactly. Just look
flowers.
at flowers.
Just smelling the flowers.
just pick the colors of your peonies, Tommy, and move on. So yeah, lots of good stuff here in Houston. I will have some boots on the ground this week and an update from here when we talk to you guys next week. But should we move into Henley's headlines?
Yes, please. Let's go.
All right. Well, listen, everybody at this point knows the Sunshine Double has been completed for both Aryna Sabalenka and Jannik Sinner, as well as Katerina Siniakova and Taylor Townsend. Three of the four Sunshine Doubles completed. It's the fourth time the same man and woman have won the Sunshine Double. And Kim, this made my head explode. I like to think that I have like a clue of some of the stats. I might not be able to recite them off the top of my head, but I had no idea that only 5 women have won the Sunshine Double. Only 5. I'm speaking to one of them,
yeah.
So that's a little bit of a cheat code. Do you know the other 4?
Well, I know Iga did it not too long ago. Is Serena in there?
No Serena.
No, Serena. Steffi, probably.
Yep. So she was the first. She did it twice. She was the first to do it before you. So you were only the second woman to do it. That's crazy. In 2005, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh wow! And then who is the last person?
Azarenka, Vika.
Oh.
Yeah. So
good.
yeah,
isn't that amazing?
Yes.
How? It's not that I remember it being so hard or anything.
It was like it was no big deal.
No, it's like you get into the flow of things, right?
Yeah.
Like I always loved starting in Indian Wells because I felt really good, whatever it was, something in the air. From the moment that I stepped like on the hardcourts there, like I just always felt good. Like the timing was there naturally. I felt like I could see the ball well, like my vision was on point, and just always felt good. And I was able to, not always, but in 2005, luckily, I was able to carry that with me into Miami and kind of just build on the confidence booster that I got from winning Indian Wells and beating some really good players. And so I think it's very much so a confidence thing and to staying locked in, right? There's a lot of things, especially in Miami, to get distracted with and to, and so I think a lot of times it's that too, is like just the ability to stay locked in and to stick to the same routine, although you're in a different city, and just stick to the same routines. And to me, that's what it was like, probably for most of my career was to just, once I was on the road at the tournaments, I was like super locked in. And because my superstitiousness and if I wasn't locked in or if I wasn't fully focused and 100% committed to what I had to do to be the best tennis player that I could be, that to me that equaled like I'm gonna lose. Oh, if I go out, I'm gonna lose. If I don't, if I eat the wrong things, I'm gonna lose, right? Like it's a very extreme way of thinking, but you do get to that point where you just stay super locked in, and that's what, that trip especially for me was just to not get distracted from the Miami energy.
What were some of your superstitions?
Oh, so many.
Really?
There's cities and locker rooms that I can name, hotel rooms that, my superstitiousness, like in my bag, were always the same. Like nobody could touch my rackets or my grips once my grips were done. Right? Like I didn't want any sweaty hands or dirty hands on my
keep your usually
wide
off
grips.
My rackets.
Right. Seriously. Like once they were done, I was like, okay, they had to be in certain order. So let's say at the US Open, like I had my favorite shower, right? So that started in 2005 when I won my first one. So ever since then, I, always wanted to, like if I had to go to the bathroom right before the match, like I would wait if the toilet was occupied, like I would wait until it was open because I would connect that in my head to like, well, if I use another one, then, the chance of me losing is going to be bigger.
No way.
Yes, like that's how
love it.
bad like it can get. And I would literally wait until, the person, who was on the bathroom would be done. And I
Didn't the Bryan brothers tell a story about this where Rafa was in their shower? Did you hear this? This might have been with Andy. Anyway, but I don't think you're alone in this is my point. Is that
no,
I do think that
yes, the showers, it's the hotel that I stayed at in 2005, like I guess I messed up and I didn't book a few weeks before the US Open started. Like I didn't book a hotel yet. And so the San Diego tournament director, Raquel at the time, she's like, oh, I have a connection to a place in the city. It was the Michelangelo Hotel, and they, gave me a room, and that was like my room for the next, probably still when I go to New York, like that's my place where I go stay at if I want to. And
that's amazing,
right? So just over time, like I just stuck to the same thing, the same foods in the morning, routines, warm ups. A lot of things. I mean, I can write a book probably about all the things that I, had in my head.
Oh my gosh. I'm jotting this down mentally so that we can have another episode where we do a deep dive into like what was your breakfast?
It was more energy-wise too. Yeah. Oh, definitely can name them all.
That's really well. I would think that having those routines though are so important also because it's such a completely different atmosphere, the Indian Wells to Miami shift. And obviously the conditions are different. You're going from dry to humidity. There are a lot of things that are changing. And so having the things that you can keep exactly the same, I can see that being important.
Yeah, and I think in general, the tennis world is just so many uncontrollables, right? Like timing of your matches or whatever is happening. Like so you hold on to a little bit of control that you can have in your own life, whether it's in your bag or in your room, in the hotel, or in your locker, whatever it is. You kind of, become a little bit over the top. And I always say, like, I do think I was a little bit OCD back in the day. I definitely am not like that. But I think tennis definitely made me, or the pressure of it all made me be, a lot more superstitious and locked in.
It was also a great 10 days for Coco Gauff, who, of course, reached the final, lost in 3 sets to Aryna. And she had some really interesting things to say after the final, but she was on fire in press all week long. She said on court in one of her on-court interviews that she saw somebody tweet that she should be coming to the net more. And she was like, you know what? They're right. I am good at the net. I should be coming into the net more, and had success doing that in Miami. And it made me wonder if you ever heard something like that from an outside source, not somebody in your inner circle. Was that, were people, I mean, I imagine people were always throwing out, because everybody thinks that they're the expert, right?
Or the coach, yeah.
Yes, totally. Did you have any situations like that?
I did. It's not that it happened often, but there were definitely moments where at the back of the court, or just at times where I felt like, there's always a few people in the stands that, you feel are really on your side and are showing the energy and are verbal at times, but they understand you. Like sometimes you can just feel that. And so there were times at the US Open, like on the side of the court, I'm like, hey, like, where should I serve? And they would be like, just go down the tee. I'm like, okay, I got you. And then I hit like a good serve or like an unreturnable, and I would look at them and be like, got you. And they're like, yeah, let's go. And then, it's just little things like that. Like it's just fun to play with that a little bit, but it's also, I don't know, like you absorb energy from people too, right? Like when you're out there playing and it just kind of keeps you. To me, it was like a fun and playful way to interact with the fans, but then at the same time, also like it also helped me to be a little bit more relaxed and to kind of have fun a little bit out there too.
Yeah, and that was another thing that Coco said. She felt like in Miami, and again, it's essentially a home tournament for her, but she said she was able to have more fun, be a little looser, and that led to trusting her game more, which that's something we've talked about, right? She has the ability. It just, again, you can sort of see the gears grinding when she's out on court in terms of thinking about what she should be doing. And it's so hard to play at the highest level when that is in the back of your mind. So seeing her be able to sort of let go of some of that in real time was also really cool.
Right, very. Jada and I were watching the match together. She was home for the weekend from her school, and it was so fun to see her, like Coco's brothers in the players box, like cheering and like standing up. And like, I think when she went up a break in the second, and just like how verbal, like even from the start in the first set already. And so Jada and I were laughing at, kind of thinking about like her little brothers, like on the side of the basketball court where you can be very vocal. And like, sometimes I'm like telling them to just keep it quiet because like, I still think tennis, right? Like tennis efficacy a little bit.
Just bring it down a notch.
So I'm like, boys, like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to like start trash talking and you don't need to do all that. Like, it's fine. And so just seeing like Coco's brothers was very, very fun to watch and sweet. And, but yeah, definitely. I think Coco, I think, and Sabalenka's mindset is, I think, where a lot of players are trying to get, but I think you can only get there when you experience all the different things that come with that, right? The losses, the pain, the frustration, all the negatives help you to get to that deeper level of, okay, I'm going to go for it, right? Like that match point that we saw against Rybakina in the finals of Indian Wells, like to me is like the perfect example of her, like to where she is today, like to seeing the confidence and to the belief that she has in herself. And even when she's not playing her well or she's making a few errors, like she has that perfect balance between being very locked in, aggressive with her game, but calm in her head. And I think that's like that level. And we see it with Iga a little bit, right? Like she can be aggressive and the intensity is great. But at the same time, sometimes the head gets to that too, where you get frustrated and so there's a really fine line between, learning about yourself and going through all the details, to become a more calmer, in control tennis player in your head, but still be very physical and aggressive when it comes to your game style.
Another player who made some headlines in Miami, maybe didn't play tennis she wanted to play, but Amanda Anisimova went ahead and split with her coach, Hendrik Vleeshouwer. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Is he Belgian, Kim?
He's Dutch, but he lives, I got to know him when he started as a coach in my academy and that I used to have there. He's still in Breen, my hometown. I think he lives with his wife and his daughter, Nora. He's always been a coach. And I always said, like, I think I would really have enjoyed having him on the sideline because he's somebody who makes you feel like you're the only player for him. Right. And like the confidence that he gives you and he is like, he lives for his player during those times and that he works with you. And that's, I think, a great skill and very, very passionate about his job and about, doing everything that you need to do for to have the best results. And I do think like he came into Amanda's career at the perfect time to really help her, build confidence as a player, but also outside, right? Because it's connected. And so I think the two of them, like I actually texted him when I read the news and texted him about, how great of a ride they had together. And so, they ended everything on a good note and with a lot of respect for each other and gratitude for what they achieved together. And we'll see where that will take him. I know we have a young Belgian, Jelien van Drommel, who won the US Open last year, who's a great player, who's looking for a coach or who is without her coach. So who knows, there might be like a little, because she did like hit with him in my academy too. So that might be a nice little pair up coming up. And then we'll see what will happen. Maybe a whim or somebody, that could be a next kind of step for Amanda, but we'll see. There's a lot of good coaches out there, but we'll see if that's We'll see.
A
Anytime
lot
soon,
of people
we'll hear it about it.
hypothesizing.
Right.
Yes, for sure, for sure. The timing had a lot of people going in that direction for Amanda, but I think it's this is a good example because I didn't know of Rick prior to him working with Amanda, and she reached 2 Grand Slam finals, won a couple thousand titles, rose to number 3 in the world. So it's a good reminder that, yes, on one hand, it's great, to have someone who has a resume, this long of top players, but there are a lot of coaches out there who probably have something to offer at the pro level if given the chance.
Definitely. And also every player is looking for something different. And I think for me personally, and that's different for everybody, like I also needed to have somebody with me because it's like a marriage, right? Like without the physical contact.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, just to make that clear. But it's, you literally spend, every hour of the day almost with this person. You're on the flight together, you're having breakfast together, you're going to dinner together, and everything in between. Like it's so having somebody who you can have fun with, who you can relate to, a lot of times I feel like for women, I'm not saying for guys, a lot of times I think that there is a different approach. But that is very important that you have somebody with you who doesn't make you feel like you have more pressure or who just makes you feel like you get more stress because you want to achieve something and you want to create. It's like everybody's different like that. But I always felt like I wanted somebody who, knew about tennis, right? Like that's how I started with Wim. Like Wim was my hitting coach. Like we were friends for when we were 11 or 12 years old and we'd practice together. And so we had fun together on the tour. We'd laugh, we could joke, we could talk about anything and everything. And I think that's important to like for anybody to not forget is like how important having somebody who you can relate to, who can but also has the emotional, I think, capability and communication skills to help you through the tougher times on the road as well. So there's, it's not easy to find a coach that has all those things. There's only a few that can really bring a player from a young age to the higher level.
That brings us to our next topic, that former world number 7, David Goffin, is going to be enjoying his final year on tour. He put out this very dramatic announcement video letting us know that this would be his last season on tour. A fellow Belgian, of course, Kim. I don't know, what was your relationship like with Goffin?
I've got to know him pretty well over the last few years. I think he's, he comes across as he's actually really funny. He comes across as a little bit of an introvert, I think, and a little bit of a shy guy. But yeah, he's very, very funny, and it's been really nice to get to know him and to get to know his sense of humor. And of course, like over the last few years, like he's had a lot of injuries that he's had to deal with, and fighting that kind of like, okay, I'm going to push through and see if I can get my ranking back up and see if I can get some bigger results again. And it's been hard, but at the same time, he's had such an amazing career. And just looking back to, in Belgium, right? Like being, from Belgium and seeing the impact that he's had on, a lot of the kids and younger boys in the country. And because he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the tallest player. He didn't have the best or the fastest serve, but he was, he's such a beautiful player to watch, and his technique and his movement, his timing. So yeah, definitely a big inspiration to a lot of the younger kids in Belgium. But when I saw the video, I was like, oh my God, like that's, a chapter that's going to close. And it's part of it, right? Like you see these players that you have watched since they first came on tour, and then, they're deciding to call it quits. And it's a little bit emotional, but at the same time, knowing what I know now and knowing, the tennis family that you can fall back on when you stop playing is so incredibly big, and really exciting to see what will be next for him.
I can't remember, Kim, did you announce that you would be retiring in advance, or you just were done and said, I'm done?
No, I did. So the first time, that's why like I really hesitated to come back after I had Jada, because I had this like farewell in tournament, and I played my last match in Belgium in this the sports palace that I mentioned earlier, and had a goodbye, and with all the tears and the drama,
Right.
and and then like a few years later, I decided to come back, and I was like, wait, like that looks so weird. Like I did that. I had all these people like come and, say my last goodbye. And then, so that did make me feel a little bit hesitant about this, coming back and making
Right.
it official. But yeah, it is not easy to, life on tour, and you don't know how your emotions are going to work out, or your your goals, and you just kind of follow it. And I do think that David is definitely finished with, after, when he finishes the season, and they just had a baby daughter, and so he's on to the next chapter in his life, but he's still very much involved in the tennis in Belgium, and the video was recorded in his home club in Liège, and so the roots are very strong, which is exciting to see.
Yeah, I was just thinking about just the announcement in advance, and thinking of people like Danielle Collins, who obviously, she has some injury issues right now, but not retired. Sorana Cirstea, who this is allegedly her last season, plays some of the best tennis of her career. There's a lot that can happen over the course of a season. So
there is a lot that can happen. But I remember saying it to the media that I was going to stop after, that year. And they were like, why? Like I just felt, I also didn't feel like I could hold it in. Maybe it's just also my personality to just be like, say whatever was on my mind, kind of like, this is like, I'm dealing with this, and it's not for attention. It was more just like, I just don't want to keep that in. Like, it's a big deal for me. And like, why would I not share that?
Yeah. And giving yourself probably a mental finish line too.
Yes.
I would think would be helpful.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, moving on now to a story that broke a couple of days ago. Ben Rothenberg reported in his Substack Bounces that the WTA is looking to relocate the WTA finals at the end of its contract in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, where it's been the last 2 years. There's one more WTA finals there this year in November, but they are looking at Charlotte, North Carolina as one of the possibilities. And Kim, you actually were in Charlotte last week as sort of, part of the, I guess, what do we want to call it? Meeting of the minds as they try to make the decision on how to move forward here.
Right. It was my first time in Charlotte, and it was a very kind of impressive room of people that I feel like are very passionate about sports, but also about kind of bringing tennis to the Charlotte area. And just really enjoyed kind of getting to meet a lot of the people that are interested in. I know the Charlotte Sports Foundation is very much behind it, and so we'll see where it heads to. The WTA, Portia was there, and just to be able to talk about or get to know a little bit the area, looking at venues, but then at the same time, there's still some other cities in the running as well. I think there's another American city, another European city in the running. So we don't know. I don't know what those are, and they didn't share that with me. But it is exciting. To me, the WTA finals are so special. And also, I grew up with a dad, and I mentioned that in the room. Like, I grew up with a dad who played World Cup soccer for Belgium. And so for him, like, he called the WTA finals as his World Cup. Like, this is the best players, the 8 best players. And so from when 2002, I think, was the first time I won it. But I think I also played in Madison Square Garden one time. And just to be able to play in those kind of venues where, the Knicks were playing, the Lakers were playing, like literally the day after, like the day before we started playing, the Lakers still had a game the night before, and we were able to go watch the games. And it was just a really cool experience to see that, we got to, as, now I'm talking like early 2000s, that as women, and that tennis was such a, again, like a front runner when it comes to bringing women's sports to these incredible venues where a lot of the guys and men's and most famous sports in the world were holding some of their biggest events. So that was really fun to be a part of. And I think it would be incredible to bring tennis, especially with seeing where, the American tennis is at the moment. And I think we have 3 Americans in the top 10, just to see, American tennis being brought back to, or the WTA finals being brought back to to American soil is something that I would be super excited about, and I think a lot of the players would really enjoy having it there. And it has nothing to do with things didn't go well in Riyadh or anything, but I think it was just the end of the contract there, and then it was time for a change.
Yeah, and just a reminder, the last time there was actually a chunk of years where the WTA Finals was in the U.S. was, I believe, 2002 to 2005 in Los Angeles. And who was the winner of the 2005 WTA Finals but our very own Kim Clijsters? So that's kind of cool, Kim. That and listen.
So those were in Doha, I think, right? Like I think 2005 I won in Doha. I think 2002 and 2003 I was able to win in LA, I think. But
perfect. Well,
yeah,
great.
so
You would know better than I would. I apologize. This is what happens when you've been on the road for weeks.
Yeah,
is that you get your years messed up. But early 2000s.
Right. It was an incredible feeling to be able to be a part of the best 8, right? Like at the start of the season when you set your goals, right? It's you don't want to think too far ahead to that stage of the year or of the season, but that's kind of a goal when you get close. You're like, okay, let's, the WTA Finals and is where, I would like to kind of be a part of at the end of the season. And it's kind of the crown jewel of our season. And it feels very, very special. Like it's a different feeling even, I think, than getting to the later stages of a Grand Slam. Like if you get to the Grand Slam quarterfinals, semifinals, like that's what it's like to get to the WTA Finals. And from the first match onwards, you're playing, your biggest rivals and the highest ranked players. So it's a super high level. Women's tennis is in a place where, we have some incredible rivalries and the level is just going up and up. And I think last year, Rybakina actually had the highest prize money purse in women's tennis. I think it was like 5.2 million, I think, or
sure was.
Yeah. So really exciting to see and seeing tennis growing. And again, like I said, they all seemed very passionate about it and bringing tennis to Charlotte. So we'll see if that's where it's going to end up happening. But nothing's been signed. Nothing has been decided. So I'm just as curious as everybody else.
And shout out to WTA Finals 2022 in Fort Worth. Yeehaw. For those of us who were there, it was honestly fantastic. They just didn't have a long enough runway to promote the tournament because they didn't know where it was going to be. But I remember the night of the finals, I was told that there were people at the box office asking, how can we get our tickets for next year? And so it was just sort of a reminder. Obviously, there was no next year in Fort Worth, but a reminder of the fact that women's tennis is such an incredible show and an incredible product. Some people just don't know that. And so it's a matter of getting people in the door to be like, wow, this is incredible. And then, you potentially have fans for life. So let's hope that wherever it goes, and we've seen that in Riyadh as well, the people who have come and have maybe never seen women's tennis before, I mean, they're amazed at the show and even the arena and the purple lights. And it's a show. And that's a really cool piece of it.
And for the players, it feels like that too, right? Like it's more special. You get treated a little bit differently. The locker rooms are different. It's not like, showing out at Grand Slam where there's like 100 bags in the locker room, and it's just a little bit more personal and yeah, just the details are cared for very well. So it's an exciting event to be a part of. Big honor.
All right, one last headline for you, Kim. I forgot to add this to the rundown, but I don't know if you've heard this, but there is a tennis academy in Indiana. So it's one where the kids can go and board. They do their schooling there and then they train. They are offering a class where you can learn how to do the splits like Kim Clijsters.
No.
Yes. Yes. I sent, because I wanted to surprise you with this, I sent Ella and Techie Sean a picture. Is that not the coolest thing?
This is at that academy?
In Indiana.
On red clay too. Wow.
On red clay. And they are learning how to, listen, I should sign up because I am the least flexible person you've ever met.
Don't sign up.
Like tear a groin.
Yeah.
But there you go, Kim. Your legacy in living on in Indiana on the red clay.
Well, listen, this is where it all started for me, was not in this academy, but on the red clay in Belgium. And that's where I learned how to slide. And then I just started to do it on hardcourts as well. Like just went for it on different surfaces. But that is so exciting. It's such an important part of, a tennis player's movement. What are you laughing at?
April Fool's, Kim.
Oh my God.
Kim's never going to forgive me for this.
You guys, I was like, that doesn't look like an American. That looks like freaking Austrian tennis
on the red clay of Indiana.
Oh my God. See, like I'm so easily tricked.
Sweating. Just call me Danielle Collins. Just April Fool's pranking Martina Navratilova on the tennis channel.
Can I say that was stupid?
If you haven't seen that clip, it was a classic.
No, that was really good, guys.
Blair,
oh my gosh.
Blair texted us yesterday and said, "Hey, can you guys make a fake photo of people, of kids and a teacher doing the splits?"
I was like, really? Like,
oh my gosh.
I was just going along with the story.
April Fools.
I'm also the worst. Oh my gosh. That was amazing. Well, shout out to Sean and Ella for the support and our friend of the pod, Megan, for planting the seed of the idea.
Great job, guys.
Woo! All right. Well, listen, on that note, Kim, should we ever find ourselves in the same place, I need some hip mobility. Please help. I'm so inflexible.
I needed
it's
too. That was one of the points I was going to come to. Like doing it on hardcourt and going full split, like when you're 40, almost 43, you do carry the consequences of that impact. That's where I was going to get to. So yes, my hips definitely feel it.
Oh my gosh.
But
all right.
Good one, Blair. Good one.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Thank you. Kim, you're so...
Listen. It is the 31st when we record. What is it today? The 30th?
That's true. It is not the first yet.
So it shouldn't even count.
We're airing this on the 1st. So, but no, you are not fully on your toes today because it is not April Fool's today. But
listen, I don't even know half of the time what the date is anyway. So
girl, same.
Got me anyway if it was on the 1st.
Amazing. All right. Should we move on to Kimformation?
Sure.
My favorite word to say. All right.
Oh, man. I'm sore from laughing here.
I feel like we covered a little bit of this, but in terms of the tennis that you saw in Miami, whether it was the Sabalenka-Rybakina rivalry or the final between Sabalenka and Gauff, was there anything on the X's and O's side that you wanted to point out that you saw in Miami? And it could be from the men's side as well. Obviously, Sinner was just an absolute demolition job. Didn't drop a set in Miami or Indian Wells.
I do. I think for me, one of the biggest things that was very noticeable to me was and again, we mentioned it earlier, but was the mindset of Sabalenka. Like I feel like she's reached a different level, and you get to that right by winning matches and confidence, but also by still building on your game and Max Mirny being added onto her team, like the drop shots that she's adding on, coming into the net more often. Being happy off court. Like I think it all carries through. She's gone through a lot in her life, in her career, where we know about the loss of her father, a former boyfriend at the Miami tournament, those kind of things. And they, it's almost it's almost hard to say or to know that you have to go through some really hard times to learn about yourself on a deeper level. And it's almost, I think every player wants to get to that level where she is now. And I think for me, when I compare it to when I was younger and when I came back from, having Jada, and in that time I lost my father, and just going through life and having these experiences in life that make you realize like, okay, like we only have one life. You have to go through it. and you want to take it on, right? In tennis, the worst thing you can do is to wait for your opponent to make the mistakes. Like, you want to have the control coming from your racket. And I think she's at that level where, earlier this year, like at the Australian Open, she lost to Rybakina in the finals of the Australian Open. But seeing where she's at now is such a mental advantage going into, the next few months, and then later in this year when she gets back to Hardcourts. So I'm really interested to see if she can carry this on the clay courts. But I feel like once you have that in you, it's like stored on your hard drive. It's like she can fall back onto knowing, okay, I'm getting frustrated, but this is what I need to do to stay calm. Like, I keep those moments very short where the negative kind of thoughts, it's not like they go away ever, but you just are able to control them a little bit better. And she's reached that level, I feel like, where she's just has the confidence, has the physical capability, the tactical, still keeps working on everything else that, maybe you could have said were her weaknesses. I think she's moving better than ever before. I think, she's bringing touch to her game, right? Like, we see her putting in some slices, some drop shots, drop volleys. Like, I think she's, really building on, one step at a time on everything that she has to, and to become a very complete player. And then add the almost unbeatable kind of energy that she has over her is very, very impressive to watch. So to me, that's what stood out the most. Even, when Coco won the second set, or what, like, you can and the crowd was definitely behind Coco. In the past, you would have seen her being a little bit more vocal or frustrated to her side and to her team. But, now she has that calmness over her, which is what you saw Serena do for so many times. And so really, really exciting to see when a player gets into that mindset and that flow.
Do you think the tone of that rivalry, the Sabalenka-Rybakina rivalry, has shifted? I think it's just so funny that as tennis fans, we tend to hit the panic button. Like, after the WTA finals, after the Australian Open final, is like, oh my gosh, Rybakina is going to be dominating for the next 2 years. And then just a month later, Sabalenka has totally changed the narrative.
Yeah, I think for now, right? And that's the thing. Like, in tennis, on grass, it can change again. Who knows, right? Like, so you never know how quickly it can change. But I do think that this kind of level or extra level of mindset and focus that she has. And again, like, I think we've talked about her, in the last few episodes, is her ability to step away from the sport and be so fired up and fully charged to come back when she's playing her matches and her tournaments is something that's really working for her. And I think a lot of players can maybe use that example, but I feel like from her side, it comes from a very natural way. Like, it's how she's feeling. And whereas, if players try to copy it, it doesn't always come from the right kind of, like, feeling, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to try to do what she's doing, but it's maybe not intentionally, like, coming fully from within. And so with her, you can see that, like, she's found that balance at the moment. And, again, happy off the court, which is something that was super important for me as well. Like, in 2005, like, I had just broken up a few months earlier with Leighton, and I was in a mindset where I was happy, but at times it was a little bit confusing too. But seeing each other again for the first time, like in Indian Wells and in Miami, there's a lot of things that go on off court that you in your private life that you don't realize at times as a fan, and that they can throw you off and everything. But it's great to see her in that flow and in that mindset.
You do not have to respond to this, but outside looking in, I cannot imagine anything more satisfying than having a breakup. And then the first time you're in the same place as your ex, you just dominate, become the second woman ever to win the Sunshine Double. I think that is so impressive. Just because you have to put blinders on, because there are a lot of emotions, I'm sure, and even if you're in a good place, as you mentioned, it was weird, and so being able to sort of put the blinders on, stick to your routines, get your same bathroom stall, and win the Sunshine
Even more
Double.
So, right? In those kind of situations, like it is a little bit different, and it's personal. And I was very lucky to have my mom there to kind of help me deal with some of those emotions. And but it is like it's a part of it, and especially when you're so young and you kind of go through everything, right? Your first boyfriend, the first breakup, everything that comes with that. And it's, we talked about Sabalenka and some of her, private things that go on. They're not private anymore. And it's you have to learn how to deal with that too. And so it can be challenging. But to me, tennis a lot of times was also my psychologist, because it gave me, I was in doing something that I enjoyed doing, that I was good at, that I could kind of focus on, and I had my routines and I could fall back on that. And I really, really thrived in those kind of 4 weeks there.
All right, before we shift to Rec Room, I would love to just get your bird's eye view thoughts, and we're going to hopefully dive deeper into this. Maybe even next week, hopefully, we'll be having your former coach, Carl, on the show to dive deeper into this topic. But we're switching from hard court to clay court. Unless you're a South American, one of the Argentines last night was like, I never stopped playing on clay.
No, they look for the dirt everywhere.
Since the Australian Open. But what are some of the biggest challenges, and maybe how are you adjusting things in practice to get ready for that transition?
So to me, the biggest challenge was movement, right? Is being the timing behind the ball. Like we were taught early on in Belgium that you slide into your shot, right? Which is something that is so different from what you do on the hard court. So for some people, like Justine, for instance, it was a very natural way to play tennis. For me, it kind of felt like my timing was off. So now I feel like a lot of women don't do that. Like they play almost very hardcore tennis like on clay. When I was younger, it was getting the movement under control. It was doing a lot of mini tennis drills and where you learn, even without a racket, you throw the ball, you learn how to slide forwards, sideways, diagonal, a lot of footwork drills, and then also just the consistency, right? Like I knew a lot of times, like if I had a certain shot, let's say an inside out forehand, and I could run around my backhand, and 9 out of 10, I knew I was either going to hit a winner or get a shot where I could come in, hit a drive volley or a volley into the open court and win the point. Whereas on clay, you have to just be more patient, and you have to realize that you have to build your points and structure your points a little bit differently and longer. And a lot of times in my mind, that was also not the easiest approach. Again, learned a lot from working with my coach Carl, who we will hopefully have on next week, but also guys like Darren Cahill, who worked with Leighton, and not so much even I think on the clay court there, but just the mindset of like building that consistency, because he was such a kind of, I would say, consistent player and kept the rally going and was very much built on like not making a mistake. Just doing a lot of 2 against 1s, right? 2 players, and you just build a lot of grit, I feel like, where you're playing against 2 against 1s. It's very frustrating. Like it was for me as my, like how I want to play as a tennis player. It could be very, very frustrating. And, but then seeing now, a lot of the surfaces have changed as well. I think a lot of the clay courts are faster. But it is a really fun time, and I always like to have some change kind of in a season. So I always loved the first couple of weeks of the clay court season. At the French Open, although I had some of my best results early on in my career on the clay, I never really truly felt like I was playing my best tennis, and I was still beating a lot of really good players, but just never really felt free, like where so. Yeah, so that was a lot of times from the moment that I even don't even think I felt that on grass a lot of times, but from the moment that I stepped on the hard courts in America after Wimbledon, I kind of felt like, okay, this is where my tennis and my movement stands out the best.
You are not alone in that, for sure. Well, that's good. Well, I'm excited to sort of dive deeper into
Me too.
the sort of the chess. It's
right.
From what I hear from a lot of players and what they tell me, they describe it much more sort of like chess, because you have to work the point more than you do naturally on a faster surface.
And I played, back in the day too, like I played with natural gut, right? And so that changes too, right? With the strings, if it's a little bit more humid out, like the strings get, a lot thicker, heavier, the control, like, so it will be really fun to talk about that with Carl and just all the things that, you know, the mindset behind him teaching me what that was like, and he has some fun anecdotes, and I'm looking forward to it. It's not fully set up yet, but hopefully we can get him on next Tuesday.
Good stuff. So Tennis Nerds Unite, come listen to that episode whenever it happens. And I'm going to get all the dirt on Kim from when she was young. All the tea. I'm sure there is none.
There is a lot.
All right. So heading on now to Rec Room, Kim, what is your recommendation for the week?
So mine is knowing that we're going into, you know, a little bit of the warmer climates, and with my teenage daughter in the house as a basketball player, I had saved, her name is Kelsey Poulter, if I have it correctly. She's a online sports youth, I think, nutritionist, and she comes up with really, really great, this is her. I don't know if you can see it
nice.
properly.
Yeah.
But she's super fun to watch because she gives you a lot of really good tips about pre-game snacks that you can find in the grocery stores that are clean, that are good to have with you. So I always enjoy like her info that she puts out, and she, you know, she's young and enthusiastic, passionate about her job. So I enjoy watching her. So her name is Kelsey Poulter, Poulter, and really enjoy what she's putting out there. Yeah.
Man, that is, I mean, I should go look at that as soon as we finish.
Even for us too. It's like,
well, yeah. I mean, especially on the road, like I find that is one of the toughest things for me when I'm working on a tournament site, because my entire life schedule, I'm not going to bed at the right time. I am not sleeping enough. Sometimes I'm just grabbing whatever is available because I have 5 minutes to eat. It's not great on the nutrition front. So I'll be checking
Listen,
that
Blair,
out for sure.
I would love to have a menopause doctor on our podcast one time. Might not have a lot to do with hitting tennis balls, but that would be something that I would love to do and ask questions.
Great.
And just so that we, you know.
Yeah.
Because we're about the same age, right?
Yeah, exactly. The more you know. We can do like a full public service episode of Love Hall. Good stuff. Well,
what is yours?
Mine is, I love it. You are helping people with their lives. I am like helping them accessorize. So mine today is these little earrings that I'm wearing that I get more compliments on probably than any other piece of jewelry. They're like little mini spiky earrings.
Oh.
And I don't know if you can see but they're from Melinda Maria, and these come in all different sizes. I can't do the big giant spiky ones, but these little tiny spiky ones, as somebody who is not at all edgy, but like likes to try to be a little bit edgy.
Right.
These are my little sprinkle of edge, Kim, on my ears. My little
what
mini
was her name?
spiky
Melinda?
hoops. Melinda Maria is the brand.
I'm going to look her up.
And they have a really great assortment of jewelry that looks nice, but isn't a gazillion dollars. And so I shower in these and everything, and I get a ton of compliments on them. So
all right,
if you too want to be slightly edgy, you can
Don't
get
we
some
all
spikies.
once in a while, right?
Once in a while, if you want to bring out your edgy side, I've got just the thing for you. But that was great stuff, Kim. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Also, shout out to Caroline Garcia and her husband expecting their first baby. That was also good news.
Yes.
This week, they're doing a good job with their podcast as well, Tennis Insider Club, which she started when she was a player, which I always think is great. I love a player side hustle.
Right.
You know, somebody who's...
I think Petra Kudla also had
yes,
twin girls.
Twins. Yeah.
I know. I didn't know she was expecting twins. So, yeah, exciting.
Oh, man. Best of luck to them. Prayers up. For Petra and her husband.
Well, I have the best time there. Look forward to watching it.
Hoping
do they have
for
a drink
no
there?
rain.
Do they have a frosé or
no? They do
Or
not.
no
Did
drinks?
you see that I tried the frosé, Kim?
I saw that.
Yeah. Maddie Keys told me in a post-match interview, she's like, if you try the frosé, get yourself some water because that thing is strong. She was not wrong. I took one sip and I was like, hoo-hoo. to like tickle your toes. No, but it was a delight. It was my one sort of relaxing night that I had, and tried the frosé because I'm an intrepid reporter for Love All. But no signal. Well, Kim, I take that back. This tournament does have the Planter's Punch. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not, but listen, I expect a video. Maybe
I
not
don't know
during
that
work
I can
hours.
even. The Planter's Punch is like that's maybe out of my alcoholic content league. Not because this makes it sound like I'm drinking alcohol all the time. That is not a thing that's happening. But I will say the fans here are having the time of their life. So like it's a place where you can hear the champagne popping.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Frances Tiafoe, as you might imagine, he's like, I love it. Love that I can hear you guys, popping your bubbles.
Great.
So it's a party
Sounds
here
fun.
in Houston. Okay, on that note, thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Love All. New episodes every Wednesday. We would love it so much if you liked and subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all of our social platforms at Love All Podcast. I finally got that down 11 episodes later. And Kim, I'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.